Mental illness, a term we hear far too often, and the word stigma. What does it all mean? Mental illness can be any symptom we are experiencing, such as anxiety or depression, that has to do with the mind. Since nearly half will experience this in a lifetime, let's promote empathy through education by ending stigma. And that way we can treat the symptoms just like any other crisis matter. After today, you will be better informed on mental illness. That way stigma ends and healing begins. Today I am here to educate you on a crisis that is hidden in broad daylight. Can you feel the wind? Yes, but only if you're in the same impact zone as the next person that's feeling the wind. Someone may not feel that wind if they are not within that range. If a natural disaster happens, such as the recent mountain fires, neighbors, friends, emergency responders quickly rush in to help. News broadcasters flood our screens with the urgency of the disaster, showing rescue missions for protection areas to safely rest your heads, and show us the nearest local food donations and where to donate money instantly. Now imagine a storm in plain sight with millions of people suffering that go unnoticed, not because it is unseen, but because people choose to believe in the stigma and use stigma. And they also choose to look the other way. Or even worse, they criminalize them by comparing them to a criminal. A list of words provided by the National Library of Medicine in 2007, such as psycho, mad, weak-minded, disturbed, loony, nuts, violent, spazzing out, and tantrum throwing. This hateful judgment this society creates impacts the treatments they deserve. By creating a criminal-like stereotype that will be harmful in the ways in which they will not want to seek help, due to this shame and guilt. Also, aiding to give permission to people to hurt them, because people that choose hate choose violence. That is what living with a mental illness is. It impacts the person with the diagnosis and the ones close to them. Did you know 1 out of 4 people here today will experience a mental illness in their lifetime, according to the NAMI National Alliance of Mental Illness, year 2024. And the number skyrockets in young adults, ages 24 and younger, at 75%, and age 15 and below at 50%. Furthermore, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services publishing Youth Mental Health in July of 22, only 50% of them get treatment. Why? Because of the stigma. On July 5th, 2011, the story of Kelly Thomas, who was born to an Orange County sheriff, was diagnosed schizophrenia in his early 20s, died in the hands of Fullerton police at a young age of younger than me, age 37 years old, beaten to death with the hands that are supposed to protect and serve us as the community, skull crushed, neck crushed, and becoming brain damaged and unrecognizable. All started with a cop questioning a homeless man based on what has been proven later to be a false burglary call from a local wanting him off the street. The police made a fist at him and said, "See these hands?" while calling in more of his friends, to which turned out to be the crime that has been proven the worst police brutality, all in the name of stigma. Kelly Thomas was criminalized before committing a crime based on his mental illness. Because of the stigma they ignorantly created a scenario they had imagined from the community to his unrecognizable, tormented death. How we can help people diagnosed with mental illness is I call for action, calling the local crisis mobile team. Saving the number in your cell phone when you see someone experiencing these symptoms, such as Kelly Thomas. Do not judge or label, especially if you know the person and see they are acting differently than what they usually would. I will include that in my video. Just like you have a 911 on speed dial for an emergency, so should you have a number for a mental health crisis. They are available 24/7 in our Ventura County community. You can also Google, if you're outside of the community, you can Google to find your local county mental crisis line. It is created to help let the 911 calls deal with real crimes. We are very lucky today. Our police officers are trained in the CIT, acronym for Crisis Intervention Team. They are trained to help people with mental illness by de-escalating and offering their loved ones resources. Ventura County Police are not ignoring the problem, which stands on stigma and mental illness and impacts our whole community. When having to call 911, please mention you need a trained CIT officer because it is not a crime to have a mental illness. Let us change our views by how we look at people with a changed mental status and not incriminate them. Let's, instead of imagining a criminal, imagine that as someone's loved one. Someone's loved one, such as Kelly Thomas, that was someone's son, who was diagnosed at a young age of 20. Let us imagine just like that of a broken arm or a heart condition such as a heart attack or brain stroke. Imagine the predicted half of us that will be diagnosed with a mental illness in our lifetime. May we get the same treatment, not to be scared to call for help or to be scared to dial 911. May we have an urgency of ambulance officers to protect the community and a community of counselors, nurses, loving family members, neighbors, all to rush in and help in such as that of the fires we locally had. In the name of Kelly Thomas, for every one of the 50% of who will experience a mental health crisis, may they have access to the same healthcare treatment and be able to come back home and be with their loved ones again, smiling, laughing, aiding in their abilities, and eating dinner with their families and loved ones again, living full, productive lives. Thank you.